A Telmurian was walking around the promenade on the station, talking loudly to their family on their pad. What was that? Your signal is pretty weak. Oh. Yes, they have humans here. I know. Their planet had a really big moon. They won't stop telling everyone they meet. Yes, they told me about it at least 3 times. I saw the photos. It's pretty big, I guess. Yes, they're strong. I remembered the time that human from the helm picked up 2 Saphigans and carried them around on her arms. I didn't tell her, but I was impressed. Why didn't I tell her? I don't know. I didn't want to be seen as a human chaser, maybe. They also had odd thought processes. Remember that story about the one that learned that the water filters were the same as the outer compensator on the flash warp drive? They still taught us to check other parts for commonalities like that. The Saphigans were building a whole reference of parts that could be exchanged for other parts. They walked around, oblivious to everyone else on the promenade. A Gren glared at them and clacked their mouthparts irritatedly. They were still speaking loudly. They walked on, oblivious to the disruption they were causing. I didn't call you to talk about any of that stuff. I just learned about their food. Did you know they didn't have a specific food? They didn't have 1 or 2 or even 3 items that they considered food. They have hundreds. Maybe even thousands. They stop and stare out a window and are silent for a few moments. Not only that, but they combined them in so many different ways. Even wilder, they had modifiers to their food. Can you believe it? They had things that aren't technically food that they could add to food to make it taste different. They're called spices or seasonings. I know. Had you ever heard of such a thing? They had this thing called taste. It's a whole sense for them. It's what enabled them to try and test foods and discover ones they liked and reject ones they didn't like. I had a hard time with it, to be honest. Imagine food you didn't like. It's food, right? By its very definition, it's something you consume to survive. They clacked their wing covers together, like a sigh. A Saphigan sitting at a cafe near them made a gesture, like they were trying to shoo them away. Not for the humans, I guess. They had whole careers, whole philosophies, maybe even whole religions about food and its preparation. I read about the first time some humans came on board a coalition ship. They asked where the kitchen was, and when we said what it was like, you unplugged them. They just stood there with their mouths full of their scary, sharp teeth opened in surprise. I imagined we had a similar face the first time they showed us a kitchen. Imagine a whole room, a whole part of the ship that was turned over to their pursuit of food. That's another thing. They can get bored of food. Who ever heard of such a thing? It's food. You ate it. You felt full. You continued with your day. That's like being bored of breathing. Have I tried any of it? I mean, so much of it is straight up poisonous to us. No, you're right. Some of it isn't. All right, fine. Yes, I tried one. There was this thing. It was something they called a cookie. It was made of something like 10 ingredients, all in very precise measurements, then mixed together and shaped into balls and cooked at a high temperature. How did they ever come up with that? The cookie? They shrugged. I don't know, it was fine, I guess. I didn't get sick. I guessed I couldn't taste like they could. It wasn't much of anything. Just food. I didn't want to hurt their feelings, so I said I liked it. They gave me 4 more. I didn't know what to do with them. They're still in my room. They're starting to change. I think one of them is hosting a colony of bacteria. What do you mean, is it on purpose? There's no way it's on purpose. No, A long pause while someone on the other end was speaking. No, I refuse to believe it. They cannot use bacteria to change their food on purpose. There's a word for that, and it's spoilage. I cannot believe they'd allow bacteria on their food on purpose. It's just too wild. Okay, yes, I love you too. Tell the rest of the CRG, I said good evening. They disconnected the call and looked up, realizing they were wandering as they talked. There's a group of humans sitting down at a human-style cafe, having a meal. One of them looked up at the speaker. Their large, wet eyes seem impossibly deep, And in the corner of them, wetness began to well. You didn't like the cookies?